Good morning. Welcome to your Sunday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist. Here are some words of wisdom, and I kind of smirked when I pulled this card out of the deck because we've got a theme going again. So that's always useful when we have a theme going. Card deck we haven't seen in a little while. It is the Power of Surrender deck by Dr. Judith Orloff, and it says 52 cards to transform your life by letting go. And I'm sure Tosha Silver would agree with that, and I agree with that. And so letting go and letting us be guided where we're meant to go. So welcome to whomever just popped on. Glad you are here. Linda, good morning, good morning. Glad you are here. So we are going to be practicing our power of surrender today. So turning it over, letting it go. Good morning, Carolyn. Glad you're here. And I think in the process of that, one of the things that's helpful before I read the card to know is that surrender is not giving up. They are not the same thing. And I actually did a blog post many years ago. It's on my website, empowermentandpurpose.com, under the blog tab, that kind of compared all of that to row, row, row your boat gently down life's stream. And the gist in my description was that surrendering is you're in your boat, you're going down life's stream, you've got a paddle, you can do some work to stay off the rocks, but you're not fighting the flow of the water, you're just going with it and you're working with it. Surrender, on the other hand, is throwing your paddle one way, jumping in the water and drowning. That's giving up. That's giving up. Surrender, you're just moving with the water, you're working with the water, you're allowing the water to take the lead, in this case, divine. You're allowing the divine to take the lead and you're following. You're following the guidance, right? Surrender. Again, giving up is jumping out of the boat and drowning. So, here's our card deck, Power of Surrender by Judith Orloff. And our card for today, what we are surrendering to today is trust. And we had a trust card recently. So again, my thing is when something pops up 2-3 times, we want to perk up our intuitive ears and listen carefully. All right. So a couple of nice deep breaths. Let it go. I'm feeling the need for a little bit of tapping, just right here on the chest point. Collarbone tapping. Just breathing. Just settling in to divine right order, divine right timing. And we'll talk about that after I read the card. So the card again is Surrender to Trust. And it says, trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions of what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. It's fine to take into account other people's opinions on things you're going to do. Don't let them make the decision for you. It's very important that we all are the pilot of our own plane, okay? We need to be making those decisions ourselves. We live in our skin. We know ourselves the best, right? Sometimes we have a little blind spot and someone might point that out. That's fine. That's helpful. But you don't want to capitulate on all of your decisions to other people. So I'll give you an example of how this works, and it's a finessey kind of thing, right? So when I moved in April, good morning, yes, exactly. Don't control, go with the flow. Let me give you an example, all right? So when I sold the motel, moved to Appleton, things began to unfold as they always do, right? And my former administrative assistant let me know that the new owners weren't planning on keeping the labyrinth that I had put in. So I sent them a message and said, darn, if I had known that, I would have taken more things out of the labyrinth, etc. And they said, feel free. So I'm sitting there, and it was midweek, I think, and I'm thinking, well, can I run up there on the weekend and get some stuff out of the labyrinth and come on back and blah, blah, blah. And I had taken some things out of there that were important to me, like a bowling ball that a friend had made that had hearts all over it, and a bowling ball I had made that had pennies all over it, and some of the rocks that came from Lake Superior, etc. But there was a concrete bench. There were some other rocks that I'm a rock person. There were a couple other bowling balls that I thought were cool. So I'm making these plans, and all of a sudden, I can't remember which friend said it, but one of my friends said to me, okay, so you're teaching this class on lightening your load, and you're going to go and get bowling balls and rocks. Ding, 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 ding. Little light went on, and I'm like, huh. I did allow what that person said to influence my decision. What I did instead was I called some friends of mine and said, look, they're dismantling the labyrinth. If you'd like to go get the concrete bench out of the middle and put it by your pond, feel free to do that. And if you could grab a couple of extra rocks for me, that'd be great. And so she and her husband went and ended up with a truckload of rocks and a couple of the bowling balls. I think I still haven't gotten up there to get things. And then she told me she'd put the bench by her pond, and I thought, yay, that's cool. There was a blind spot in me in terms of the irony of lightening my load and going to get rocks and bowling balls. But when my friend said that, then the bells went off, ding, 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 ding. Welcome to whomever else has popped on. And I went, oh, yeah, okay, I get this. I was operating blindly. I was operating subconsciously, and I wanted to make a conscious decision instead. So that's just one example. But there have oftentimes been times when I've decided to do something, like deciding to buy the motel in the first place. My accountant was like, are you sure you want to do this? And tons of people, family members, etc., like, you're buying a motel? But I just knew in my heart and soul that that's what was supposed to happen, so I did it. Yesterday, I went and looked at a property that I thought would be lovely for an intentional community. A denser population of little cute homes that allows more people to have a home because it's not so exorbitantly priced that a whole bunch of people at the lower end of the money range can't afford to have a home. Single moms, etc., whatever. So I looked at this property. It would be a beautiful property for that. I'm not sure I'm feeling the chime for that totally. And I know, as someone who has crammed that square peg in that round hole more times than I care to say, that it doesn't work when I try to force something to happen. That it is in my highest and best good and the highest and best good of all those around me to allow the unfolding. Here's the thing. If that property is meant to be mine, it'll be mine. I don't have to race to get a bid in. I don't have to bid more than the asking price. I don't have to do any of that stuff. If it's meant to be part of this next plan, it'll unfold in divine right timing and divine right order. That's the difficult piece. Oftentimes, like 99.9% of the time, divine right timing and divine right order is not Bonnie timing. That's okay. That's okay. I've had to learn over the course of 60 years to allow that, to trust that. Here's our surrender to trust. That is exactly what we're practicing today, okay? So what I want you to do, Carolyn in particular, because this is what you're working on, when you notice in your body a little bit of that tightness, like you're not really flowing, you're kind of hanging on there, breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And typically 3 to 5 breaths, and you can go, yeah, I'm hanging on too tight. I need to let it go. Let it go again. Think about that. 3 to 5 breaths, and you're back on track. Good morning, Diane. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. 3 to 5 breaths. That's all it takes, okay? Sometimes 3 to 5 breaths and go for a walk. 3 to 5 breaths and take a nap. 3 to 5 breaths and drink a glass of water. All of those things will help shift you back into flow. And the flow may take you exactly where you were wanting to go anyway, or it may take you somewhere better. And that's another theme that, put it on a little card. I'm just going to show you one of mine. Expansive consciousness dissolves obstacles. But put it on a little card. Breathe and let it go. Anything that kind of reminds you, divine timing, not Bonnie timing, not Diane timing, not Carolyn timing, divine timing. All right, we're just trusting and having faith. All right. So surrender to trust. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. And the other thing with that is, most often, any decision we're going to make, I'm just going to make one up, buying a house, all right, involves multiple steps anyway, right? So you have opportunities to keep discerning all the way through the process. Is this still in my highest and best good? Is this in the highest and best good of all for me to make this choice? And then you can tweak it as you go. You may find that you take a step or two, welcome to whomever else has joined us, and the path turns. It isn't where you thought you were going when you took those first couple of steps, but here's a turn in the path. Go ahead and take it. Sometimes we have to take a few steps before we get a better lay of the land. That's okay, that's cool, just go with that. Surrendering to trust, allowing, letting go and letting God, however you want to look at it. And so I'm going to show you again, just the reminder, if you haven't yet created a God jar, please do so. A box, an envelope. You could use an envelope. You could use even an old envelope. It doesn't matter. Put on the little pieces of paper, and notice how full it is. Because lots of things are changing right now. Put on a piece of paper the thing that you're freaking out about. So let's say I'm not, but let's say I were freaking out about whether or not to put money on this farmhouse. I would write it down on a piece of paper and stuff it in here, and then I let it go. I let it go. Okay, God's got this one. We're going to see how it unfolds. If I'm meant to make an offer, I'll get the nudge. If I'm not meant to make an offer, it'll be crickets. There'll be nothing moving me forward in that direction. Yes, divine timing, not your timing. So turn it all over to divine timing. Allow, allow, allow. You will find that you feel so much more at peace. So much more at peace. And again, we like to think. I'm going to give you another little metaphor that I think works really well in terms of why do I want to turn this over. Imagine you're a turtle in the grass. It's tall grass, all right? You're a turtle. You can see what turtle can see at turtle level, right? The universe is actually a giraffe. It's looking at giraffe level. It can see much more. Isn't it wise for turtle to defer to giraffe in order to have that higher view? Okay? Again, it involves faith and trust, because turtle is going to need to rely on giraffe to say, okay, now turn left, now go right, now do this, just go straight for a ways, stop, let's wait, there's a lion going through, whatever, right? But our perspective is a human perspective. We only have this machinery to work with. So when we tap into something higher, our higher self, the part of us connected to spirit, whatever you want to call it, when we tap into the field of infinite possibilities, there's so much more available than we can discern, that we can appreciate, and to make accommodations for that is really, really wise. Okay? So your mission for today is to practice the trust, the faith that this will turn out exactly as it's meant to. Maybe not how we think it ought to, but exactly as it's meant to. And sometimes it's really hard. If it feels like someone's getting away with something and they ought to be held accountable, it feels really hard to, no, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to let this go. It'll unfold exactly as it's meant to. It is not my problem to fix. I'm going to proceed with my own path. Let them walk their path. Bless them on their path. You walk your path. All right. Have an awesome day. I wanted to, last couple of days when I jumped off, I thought, oh, I forgot to remind people. If you'd like to get these via email, after I'm done, I usually post them a couple of places, and then I send the YEMIGs out by email. If you'd like to get it by email, just send the word yes to Bonnie at empowermentandpurpose.com. And I'll add you to the mailing list. I think we've got 74 people on the mailing list right now who get YEMIG by email every day. So some people aren't on Facebook. Some people don't want to try to catch me when I'm in between here. So they just wait for the email to come and watch it then. Up to you, whatever works best for you. But if you'd like to get it by email, just send the word yes to Bonnie at empowermentandpurpose.com. Now, have an awesome day. Go forth and practice letting go. Breathe into it. Practice your breathing. You can never go wrong by practicing your breathing. All right? Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.